Hey everybody, welcome back to the channel. I just wanted to let you know that my name is Rob and I'm here to share some great RV adventures with you. And here's an adventure that I have yet to see anybody talk about. Honestly, I've never heard anybody talk about this in this kind of level, this detail, this whatever. I've never heard these things from an RVer. And let's be honest, when you're RVing, you have the potential. I'm not saying you will, I'm saying you have the potential to save a lot of money. So what are you going to do with the money that you save? And everybody's going to go, oh, yeah, I just stick it in my bank account. And stop that. Stop it. You want your money to grow like the rest of us. Be honest. You're a little greedy. So am I. So is everyone else. So let's just own the fact that we're a little bit greedy and let's do something intelligent with our money. So number one that I do is when I get any kind of money, I pay 10% toward my church. And the reason why I do that is because I believe in helping the needy and the less fortunate. I've been on the needy and the less fortunate end of things. I understand how important charity is. So I give back. I give back 10%. You don't like it? Don't do it. But that's what I do. That's my thing. The next thing I do is I take 10% and I put it toward continuing education. And let me find a random book here. See? Random book off of my bookshelf. I could have picked out any number of books. There's like literally 30, 40 books here. So what I'm trying to get across is that what you need to do is you need to continue your education. 10% of your income goes toward continuing education. For me, that's photography, that's coaching, that's learning YouTube, whatever. And I need to pay at least 10% of all that I'm doing back into continuing education because what that does is it makes me an incredibly smart man. And let's be honest, if I'm only spending $1,000 to make myself smarter, like that's a lot of books, or it's a lot of educational videos, it's a lot of whatever, or it's a drop in the bucket to a coach. Whatever your flavor is, you do you, kitten. But that's something that I honestly think that you should be doing is 10% toward your continuing education. The other 10% right now is going to be investing. Actually, it could be bills, could be debt, could be any number of other things. We're going to stick with this one for now. We're going to say investing. So you're going to take 10%. So we're already at 30%. So 10% tithing, 10% continuing education, 10% investing. And you're going to say, what do I invest in? I'm not a financial planner. I'm not your guy. I am not your financial guru. Go find one. Seriously, take that 10%, throw it into a stock or a bond or any kind of an investment, maybe crypto, maybe precious metals, whatever you want. Whatever you want. Just invest 10% because if you're smart with your money, like if I would have invested in gold in the early 2000s when I was originally doing this kind of thing, I could have invested in gold at about 12 or $1,300 an ounce. It's now 33. Woulda, coulda, shoulda. Anyway, invest your money and invest it smart. You don't know where to invest it? Hire someone who knows how to invest it for you. Then I've got 10% toward debt. If you have any debts, this needs to come before your cost of living for a reason. Because these things are crucial and the order doesn't really matter, but it kind of does. So when I go tithing first and I pay for that, so I get rid of that right away. So I'm taking care of the poor and the needy. I do my continuing education, which shows that I will not only make the money that I currently expect, I will continue to make money. That's very important. Investing to show that if for whatever reason I get incapacitated and I can't make money, I have investments to fall back on. Then I go into debt. Now, when I'm paying off debts, I don't really have, I was going to say, I don't really have any debts. Like, no, I do. Looking at a new motorhome and, yeah, spoilers, we're looking at it. Anyway, you already know that, I'm sure. But, yeah, we're looking at a new motorhome and, oof, $300,000 bill. I'm going to have some debt. But when it comes to debt like that, and it says, well, you're going to pay this over 12 years, and it's going to be, get this, $168,000 in a 12-year term. Ooh, wow. Guess how much the loan is actually for? 45. After the trade-in and the everything and blah 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 and all that stuff, 45. $45,000, and it goes to 168 over 12 years. And like, I ain't waiting 12 damn years. I am not waiting that long. I am going to make balloon payments on that as much as I can. So 10%, whatever 10% of my income is, just straight to my debt right away. And if I have any other debts, straight to my debt. And if I don't have any debts, great. It goes into the everything else. Now, what we have next is we have 20%, not 10, but 10. We're now going 20. And what I do with that is I pay my bills. I pay my phone, my rent, my whatever, and that's what I pay on that. So when it comes to RV payments, well, it comes under debt, but I can throw it under here as well. I can throw a little bit toward that as well. I can go to my next one, which is cost of living. These two seem like they're the same thing, but they're surprisingly a little bit different. So bills are like your phone, your cable, your car, all that kind of stuff. And you go and you pay those things off, and that's your 20%. 30% is your cost of living. So that includes things like your actual rent. Although rent, bills, whatever. Whichever one you want to throw it under that one. Whichever one makes more sense for you. So what I'm saying is take 30% for cost of living. So live high on the hog. If you can, live high on the hog. Eat steak at every meal if you can afford it. Have eggs at every meal if you can afford it. And, do that kind of thing. And then here's the other thing. Here's the final thing, because we had 10% tithing, 10% continuing education, 10% investing, 10% to your debts. That's 40%. And we go 50, 60, and we say bills, 70, 80, 90, and we're looking at cost of living. That leaves you with a tricky little 10% left. What I do with that one? Emergency fund. So that's where I buy precious metals and I could store them in the house. So that it's never going to rot, really. And by the time it rots, who cares? Or maybe a thief can break in and steal it. Great, I'll store it at the bank, whatever. But keep, a little bit of money in cash. Keep a little bit of money in something that can be easily and quickly liquidated. Do that. And then when it comes to your cost of living, maybe your cost of living is no longer 30%. Great. So maybe your cost of living is only 20%. Your bills are only 10%. Okay, keep 10% your emergency fund. Keep the 30% that are your cost of living and your bills. Keep 10% to your debts until you have no debts. Then when you have no debts, move all of that over into investing. Invest in your future. What does that mean for you? I don't honestly know. And I got a hair hanging down here. It's driving me crazy. I can't even find it. I may have gotten it that time. I can't tell. Anyway, go ahead and pay off all your debts as fast as you can. If you have a credit card, pay that sucker down to zero as fast as you can. Nope, there's still there. Again, drive me crazy. It drive me absolutely crazy until I can figure out where that hair is. And I have to have gotten it that time. But this is where you need to be investing all of your money. This is where you need to be putting your money. So when it comes to debts, you're only paying 10%. It's not that big. But when you cut down your cost of living, then you can move into paying on your bills. If your bills are getting reduced, your cost of living is getting reduced, throw more into your debt. Get rid of it. So if you can get your debt from 10% to 20 or 30%, do it. If you can get it to 40% of your income, do it. Get that debt out of there. Service the highest debt possible. Do that one first. People say go with the lowest first. I say go with the highest first. Like, hey, whatever you want. Like if you want to wipe out all your little debts, great, wipe out all your little debts. And then you want to have your big debt for last, great, go for it. Whatever. However it works for you, it works, okay? As long as you're paying toward your debt, that's all that really matters. And then we move on to continuing education should never be more than 10%. It really shouldn't. Your tithing could be more than 10% if you wanted to, but tithe literally means a tenth. One tithe is 1/10. So do what you like there. You can pay 20%, 30%, whatever makes you feel good. Continuing education doesn't ever need to be more than 10%. You're investing. Definitely increase that one from 10%. Go 30, 40, 50, whatever you can get it up to. Get your investing up there as high as you can, as fast as you can. And you're going to get there by reducing your cost of living, taking down your bills, and then taking your debts and wiping them out. I did this list a while ago. It's just a super simple little cheat sheet on a 3x5 recipe card kind of thing. I did this a long time ago because I was listening to some investors and I was listening to some multimillionaires, like mega millionaires, like hundreds and hundreds of millions. And I was listening to some billionaires, and they were saying, "This is what I do." I'm like, okay, wait a minute. And they said, "What I did." One man specifically said, and I'm trying to remember his name now. Oh shoot, I'm terrible at that. I don't remember his name. I watch him all the time. I don't remember his name. Anyway, what he did was he actually said he was paying 10% of his income towards continuing education until it became hundreds of thousands of dollars. And he said, I don't need to spend that much. If I spend 40 or 50,000 on my education, great. But 10% could be $200,000, could be $300,000. Like, you don't need to put $300,000 into your education at that level because you know what you're doing. But could you put it into investing? Absolutely. And what are some of the things, just from an RV standpoint, some of the things that you're investing in? Maintenance of your vehicle. I know I said that a little funny. It was intentional. So the idea is I went out and I got an oil change on my rig, okay, the big engine. Got an oil change done on that. And what I did was I said, lube, oil, and filter. Not just change out, lube, oil, and filter. Drain out the transmission fluid. Put new transmission fluid in it. And I want you to go out of your way and do me a favor. Fix up the generator. Lube, oil, and filter that generator. Because the oil wasn't bad. It was a little over half. It was still good, but it was getting darker. And I was like, you know what? This thing's probably never been serviced at 100,000 miles or 60,000 miles, whatever it was. I can't remember what my mileage is. I think it's around 60,000 miles or kilometers, I think. Honestly, I don't even know. I get a new rig. I have an actual journal. Oh, hang on. Let me show you. I have an actual journal. This one's cute. It says Legacy. It's actually got a couple of marks on it. Yikes. Anyway, so my Legacy journal is actually going to be one of the journals that I use, and it's very important that it's a hardcover. Okay, the hardcover. There's nothing fancy. It's just regular lines. You can see that there, just regular lines, nothing fancy. And the reason why I went with hardcover, the reason why is because what are you going to be writing on when you're in your rig? You're going to be writing on your lap, aren't you? Yeah, you're going to get to the gas station. You're going to whip that bad boy out. You're going to whip out your pen and you're going to start writing down. And you're going to want something hard to write on because you might be standing at the pump writing this down. You might be in with the cashier writing that down. You pick up a bag of chips and a bottle of pop. Like, who knows where you're going to be? You might not be sitting at your desk or your table. You might not be sitting there. You might not. You might be somewhere else. So who knows? So the idea is to have a hardcover because it's going to do you nothing but good. So have it. It's going to do you good to have a journal where you write down, I got so many liters or so many gallons or whatever. Convert later to whatever you need to convert it to. For me, it's going to be in liters and kilometers. Even though I'm writing everything down in miles and gallons, I'm going to be writing down a lot of miles and gallons. But what I'm going to do is I'm actually going to convert miles and gallons over to kilometers and liters. Because when I go to my Canadian bookkeeper, I don't want to confuse them by having metric and imperial. I'm just going to go all metric, no imperial. So that's, like I said, you need to have these things. You need to write them down. So invest in a book like that. Invest in the few minutes that it's going to take to write this stuff down. Invest in it seems like a lot. I do 2 oil changes. 3rd oil change, I get my transmission done. Because why not? Like, most people don't bother changing it ever. And like, 3rd or 4th time I change my oil, that's it. I get service on the generator, and I'm going to get service on my transmission where we're going to drain out the oil and refill it, replace the seal, the whole 9 yards, recondition the entire engine and everything. Do everything all at once, loving my life. That's what we're going to do. We're going to love my life. We're going to do those things. And just like brakes, I'm going to get my brakes looked at every time I get an oil change. Do a quick, 110-point inspection on everything. Like, do that. Let me know if my batteries are failing. Let me know if there's 1,000 things that could go wrong. Let me know. because I would rather pay $500 and get an oil change now rather than spend 30 grand and get a new engine later. It's just one of those things. I'll spend the $500 now all day long. I'll do that because it's a $5,000 engine is actually not even 5,000. It's a $5,000 windshield, and it's like a $50,000 engine. Might be 20, might be 30. I don't know. Prices fluctuate, but you get the idea. The idea is that you really want to have preventative maintenance. You really want to do that. So you want to go out of your way, and you want to do that sort of thing. You want to keep up on these things, because if you don't do it, the rest of this isn't going to mean anything, because you're going to be sitting there. Your emergency money is going to go straight to your engine replacement. You're investing and you're continuing education. Well, guess where that just went? It went to replacing your transmission because you didn't do proper upkeep. So one of those things, my oil gets down to, say I have 100,000 miles before I have to change my oil. At 75, I'm starting to look for places to change my oil. At 80, 85, 90, it's like, I need to change my oil. I'm never letting it get to 100,000 if that's what the mileage is on it. Like, I'm going to do it before I need it. Every single time. Every single time. Like I said, every second or third or even fourth time, that's when I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to do the lube, oil, and filter on everything. Transmission, check the brakes, check the batteries, lube, oil, and filter the generator. I highly recommend that you do this sort of thing, because what's a little bit of maintenance now? It's like, oh, but it's an extra cost I don't need. Yeah, how much is the new generator? You want to go down that road when you could keep the generator that you have? How much is the new engine when you could keep the one that you have working great? How much is blah, blah, blah? How much is all these things? How much are all these things? Like, check your tires often. Maybe your tires are big, like I've got, and they're going to be $500 a tire, or even $700 a tire. Like I'm actually looking at prices, and that's what they're coming up as, between 5 and 700. So what's a $700 tire compared to I'm driving down the road and I'm just driving along, everything's great, and I get a blowout. Whoa! And I'm off the road. Like, which one sounded better to you? I got a blowout and I went careening off the road, totaled my rig, and everything's smashed in behind me, and I have no home to live in? Or I spent $700 and I got a new damn tire? 300,000, or even you get a cheap one, 150,000, 100,000 maybe, or $700 tires with 4 tires or 6 tires or 8 tires or whatever you have. Do the math, couple grand or 100 grand. Like, which one do you want to pay? I'm cheap and I'm greedy. So I'm going to pay those maintenance costs because I'm greedy. Because I know that by taking care of my stuff, it's going to last longer. And I'm cheap. By that, I mean I'm going to make sure that I pay everybody before I pay me. And one of the things I'm going to do to pay me is not my cost of living. It's not my bills. It's continuing education. And I'm going to get education on anything I can get my hands on. I've got books over here that legitimately are anything from Charles Dickens, Sherlock Holmes. I've got the Chronicles of Narnia, literally the entire series. And I've got actually a couple of books on Sherlock Holmes. I think 3. I've got How to Talk to Anyone, Influence. I've got, Steve Jobs. I've got Theodore Roosevelt. I've got, you name a book. I got it in here somewhere. I mean, I don't have every book ever written, obviously, but I mean, seriously, I've got topics like you wouldn't believe. I've got Pales. Pales was a really good one. And if you haven't read that one, you're not a part of the right community, because that was a good one. Insidious. Hard to find book. If you can find one, get it. Man, it blows the socks off of you. It really does. It blows your mind. It's great. But anyway, the idea isn't that I have a lot of books. The idea is that I continue my education. And I'm going to start getting back into reading. At one point, I was reading 6 hours a day. 6 hours every day. Like, you know what? Let me back up there. Right there. It's hard pointing in the camera. Anyway, right there, I've got a stack of books that I need to read. Right underneath it, stack of notebooks. And over there, where you can't see, it's behind the chair. Okay, so right over here, still can't see it. I've got books right in here. Right? Literally right there. There's a book right there. Whoop, there. I've got 3 or 4 more books under there. So I got a lot of books. I got a couple more books over here that I have to read, and like you get the idea. Continuing education. It doesn't knowledge doesn't weigh anything. Carry as much as you can. Seriously. Anyway, we'll talk to you in the next one. I've been long-winded enough. Remember these things. There's a quick screenshot of them all. Excuse my terrible, terrible handwriting. We've got tithing, continuing education, investing, debt, your bills, your cost of living, and your emergency fund. Work it out. That's a great order. You can put it in whatever order you want. That's a great order that works for me. So that's what I recommend. And if it doesn't work for you, change it up. Do your thing. Anyway, we will see you again in the next video. We love you. We want to see you again. Don't forget to like, share the video if you find this is entertaining for someone else. And most importantly, comment. Comment below and let me know what you think. If you've tried anything like this, if you have a different way of investing, great. Let me know. I'll talk to you again in the next one. Take care.